Okay, so let's get to Loki Season 2, Episode 1. And it starts off with Loki running for his life, being chased by Mobius and other members of the TVA, the Hunters, because they don't know who Loki is. So we don't see what it is that set them off. Maybe it's just the fact that Loki knew who they were and they didn't know who he was. So obviously something weird is happening. But they're chasing him. They're just calling him an intruder, actually. They're not even calling him a variant. They're just calling him an intruder. So he makes an escape, or at least attempts to. He lands in a taxi, I guess. He lands in a truck, and because he scares the driver, she crashes into Kang's statue, and then she ends up flying into a window where Casey is. And Loki is trying to get Casey to say he remembers him. I mean, you must remember me, right? Obviously, this has to be the past because otherwise it would be super weird that nobody recognizes him. So when Sylvie pushed him through the portal, she done goofed. So nobody recognizes him, and the person who was driving the truck, she goes over, and he's like, "Oh, she'll be fine." Okay, you sure about that, Loki? And I guess because he figured the TVA was operating the way it's supposed to, he didn't even try to use his magic. So then he time slips back to the present. And he sees Casey. Casey recognizes him. He's thrilled that Casey recognizes him. And so Casey tells him where Mobius is and that he's with Hunter B-15. And then he disappears again. So Mobius and B-15 are like, okay, what do we do now? B-15 wants to tell everybody that they're variants and what's happening. Mobius is a little concerned because they're basically going to tell them your lives have been a lie. Which, if you put it like that, yeah, that's not going to be handled well. But at the same time, they should know that they were basically kidnapped by Kang to help the TVA. Okay. So X5, who I guess is a hunter, he's reading one of Mobius's magazines and making fun of him for liking jet skis. And so Mobius waxes poetic about jet skis. Jesus Christ, let this man ride a frickin' jet ski. What the hell? And apparently they're being asked to go to the war room to meet with one of the judges and a general. It's a council. Well, technically there's probably two judges, but the other one was sleeping like a baby. And that to explain to them what is happening because Renslayer's disappeared. So there you can see Hunter B-15 is a bit apprehensive. Mobius is a bit more chill about it, but he's also like, oh boy. So they go to the war room, and Loki reappears in front of Casey, and then Casey then tells him, go to the war room. He starts going to the war room. He ends up going back into the past, and he's at the war room, and this time you can see Kang plain as day. He's not even trying to hide. Unlike the present, where you don't see Kang. So, now Loki at this point has figured out that he's bouncing back and forth from the present to the past because he noticed a crack that he made on the floor. So he figured it out. And so he's in the war room, and then he's listening to a recording. He's listening to a taped recording of Kang talking with Renslayer. Kang is thanking her for her help and how, she was a great help to him during the Kang War. So, with that information, he manages to reappear back in the present as Hunter B-15 and Mobius are trying to explain to everyone what is happening. And, of course, they're at first dubious because this is a fantastical story, but then again, you're part of the TVA. Your whole existence is fantastical, So, it's decided that no timelines should be pruned. You can't prune timelines because if you do, you're killing all these people for no damn reason. So Loki reappears. He shows them. He takes the pruning rod from X5 and shows Kang's picture in the back. That not only are the timekeepers not real, but that this is the person who's doing all this to you. And he's periodically erasing your memories so you don't remember certain things. So, now this is where something weird happens. The general, first she goes to X5, and it seemed very familial. And she told him, we need to get to the end of time. And I'm like, wait, what? Nobody said anything about the end of time. I mean, yeah, Loki at this point is talking to Mobius, and he's whispering to him about, what happened to him after Mobius and him got separated, what happened at the end of time. So he was recapping things, and now he's wondering, well, maybe it's true, we need to prune other timelines so all these Kangs don't appear. So there is that, but the general is not privy to that. So how does she know about the end of time? And then then Loki keeps going back and forth between the past and the present. So, and he tells Mobius to not trust Miss Minutes. And so he's like, okay, we'll go to RNA. And so they take him to the absolute basement to meet with Ouroboros. Now, Ouroboros remembers Mobius. Mobius is desperately trying to make it sound like he remembers Ouroboros, but failing miserably. And Ouroboros seems to know, well, he might not know everything that's going on, but he knows that he last saw Mobius, who was his last visitor, like 300-400 years ago. So he seems to be familiar with time and how time moves and how long it's been. And so then Loki again reappears. He did it a couple of times in the elevator. Only we didn't necessarily see what happened to him. He just disappear, reappear, disappear, reappear. This time he disappears and he meets with the Ouroboros of the past. He's like, "Can I call you OB?" And it's like, I like that. I love Ouroboros. And so he's explaining things to him and how, in the future, his friend Mobius is talking to him. And he's like, "I don't remember this." Yeah, because it's the future. Yeah. So they use future Ouroboros or present Ouroboros to figure out what's going on, because Mobius is talking to him while Ouroboros is remembering. And I say remembering because for Loki it's literally happening right now. And how they're going to fix this. So, but Ouroboros is like, "I don't have anything like that." Oh, wait. Because, again, Loki and past Ouroboros are plotting how to help Loki. And to help the audience understand that they're two different Ouroboros. One's from the past, one's from the future. In one, he's wearing glasses, and in the other, he's not. So Loki finally comes back to the present. And so they go to where the time loom is. And apparently this is where Mobius is going to set everything into motion so the time loom will be able to handle all these branching timelines, because otherwise this is why they need to prune the timelines, because the time loom just cannot handle it otherwise. So and that's why all the electrical outages are happening. Why the lights keep going out. So as they're doing that, Loki time slips again. And this time all we see is like a disaster scene. Everyone on TV is running around, things seem to be going to shit really quickly. And he's just walking around, running, walking, depending on where he is. But he doesn't have his pruning stick anymore. And when his pocket watch turns green, he's supposed to prune himself. And so it's like, okay, how is he going to prune himself? You hear the phone ringing. And so you think he's going to answer the phone, but he doesn't. He looks at the elevator and Sylvie says, "There you are." And then suddenly he gets pruned. Now, she was using both hands to open the door. I mean, obviously somebody must have pruned him, because he couldn't, he had to do it himself. It's not like, anything Mobius did would do it. So she must have pruned him, which implies that she at some point knew that she was going to have to do that. Time travel is awesome. So he manages to get back, but not before Mobius was like, I'm not leaving. It's going to happen. And Obi is like, no, he is lost. We didn't do it. You have to get back now or you're going to get lost. So he starts moving back, and as he's doing it, Loki comes flying into him. So, I'm sorry, but the actors must have had a ball doing this episode. Well, Loki in general. And, so Loki and Mobius are absolutely thrilled to see each other. Well, Mobius especially is thrilled to see Loki. And Loki's like, we need to find Sylvie. As this is happening, the general is sending what looks like every hunter in the TVA after Sylvie. Now, again, how does she know anything about Sylvie? Loki said shit about Sylvie. He just mentioned that everybody here is a variant, and that we shouldn't prune timelines, blah blah blah. He never mentioned Kang. He never mentioned the end of time. He never mentioned anything. He just said, she is the key. We have to find her or something. And nobody ever mentioned Sylvie's name. So how does this general know who Sylvie is? And why is she so familiar with X5? Because, the way the TVA works is that, the way the TVA works is that, if there is family there, which I don't think we've seen, they don't know each other. So what the hell is going on? So, yeah. That's how the main episode ended. We have a post-credit scene. The Sylvie who had just killed He Who Remains, she ends up in 1982, Broxton, Oklahoma. Now, whether she wanted to go there or she just opened a portal and it just took her there, or what now, because Sylvie used to use apocalyptic events to hide out. So either she's still operating that way and that something horrible is going to happen in Broxton, Oklahoma in 1982, or she just, threw a dart at a dartboard and was like, okay, I'm just going to go here. Who knows? We do not know how she ended up there, but she ended up there, and she walks into a McDonald's, and she's like, how does this work? Okay, she's gone through time and space, through multiple eras on Earth and other planets. She's never been to a fast food restaurant. Forget McDonald's. She's never been to any type of fast food restaurant. That's just weird. I find that hard to believe. But she asks the kid who's working, how does this work? Instead of, noticing that there's a menu behind him. And he starts telling her, all the things that they have. And then she turns around and his voice gets pushed aside, basically. And she's looking at all the happy families, couples, families, whatever, friends, and says, I'll try everything. And the kid is like, okay. And of course, then there's a question of how is she going to pay for all that? Granted, this is 1982, so things weren't that expensive, but still, to buy everything on a McDonald's menu, yeah, that's gonna add up. So that's how it ends. So it's gonna be interesting to see first who finds Sylvie first. The hunters that are led by the general, or Mobius, Loki, and B-15. So, let's see if there's anything I missed. I believe I covered everything. But yeah, I'm really curious what the hell is going on with that general, because she is privy to knowledge that wasn't shared with her. Especially considering the fact that this was supposed to be a tribunal to listen to Hunter B-15 and Mobius. So unless they just happen to cut out the part about the end of time and Sylvie, there is no reason for her to know this. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to find out who this general is, because you should not trust her. You shouldn't trust her at all. Because, like I said, and plus, B-15 was even looking at her and X5 and it's like, huh? What the hell is going on here? Is this a relationship type of thing? What's happening here? So, I don't know if B-15 heard her say things like, we need to go to the end of time, or if she was just watching the way she and X5 were interacting with one another. But something got her attention, and I don't think she trusts the general either. And as everybody was running through the portal, you could see on B-15 she's still like, wait, what is going on? Why do we need all these people? So yeah, I suspect B-15 realizes that something is off with the general. Obviously, she doesn't know what it is yet, but she does know that something is off with her. Now it's just a matter of if she's going to tell Loki and Mobius about it. But anyway, oh, excuse me. So I believe I covered everything. Let me just go through my mental Rolodex. Yeah, I believe I covered everything. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.